Hi, I'm Richard from the Grammar Goat English Academy. Welcome to my video, Learn to Speak English. In this video, I'm going to give you lots of practical advice and tips to help you to develop and improve your speaking skills in English. Here are the main topics that I'm going to talk about. The importance of finding a conversational partner. Accuracy versus fluency. Asking questions in English. A focus on pronunciation. Making mistakes and confidence. AI apps and social media. And finally, how to transform passive language into active language. Here is a bit about me. I am known as the Grammar Goat on social media. I have 6 million followers across my platforms, and I've been teaching English now for over 20 years. I've taught English all over the world, from Asia to the Americas, and I've taught students of all ages and all levels. Okay, let's move to the first topic that I want to talk about to help you improve and develop your speaking skills. Finding a partner. Finding a partner means a conversational partner, someone that you can speak English with. I'll give the example of learning to drive. When you learn to drive, first you might study the theory of driving, the road rules, where everything in a car is. You might even sit in the car and practice without turning on the engine. But until you turn on the engine and drive onto the road, you won't truly know how to drive. Putting the theory into practice is so important. This is the same when it comes to learning a language. You can study grammar as much as you like, but until you start speaking and practicing the language, you won't truly learn it. Because of course, let's be honest, one of the biggest joys of learning any language is the doors it opens to real life, true and meaningful conversation and interaction. So, until you put into practice what you have been studying, you won't truly start to develop and learn the language. A conversational partner could be a teacher, someone that can listen to you and give you feedback on your mistakes. But it could also be a friend, someone you know who is also studying and learning English. Remember, practice makes perfect. So find someone to speak English with and start to put all the theory into practice. Making mistakes. Many students are afraid and scared of speaking because they don't want to make mistakes. But remember, making mistakes is a natural and normal part of every learning process, including learning a language. When you make mistakes, it shows that you're pushing your boundaries. You're trying to go higher and achieve more with your language. This is a great thing, and you should not be afraid of making mistakes. When you speak in English, you have to accept that you're going to make mistakes. Mistakes in your grammar, mistakes in your vocabulary, mistakes in your pronunciation. Just accept it. Get over it. It's a natural part of learning and practicing a language. Be confident. Confidence comes from not worrying too much about making mistakes. And of course, remember, when you're learning a new language, an additional language to your first language, you often develop a new identity. Make sure your new identity, your English identity, is a confident one. When you're developing your speaking skills, it's also important to make the distinction between accuracy versus fluency. When you're a beginner, you can develop early fluency by memorizing chunks of language, phrases or sentences that will help you to be fluent, help you to speak without too many long and sometimes difficult pauses. But it's also so important to focus on accuracy through the study of grammar. As children, our brains are able to understand, process, and make connections with grammar. Our brains allow us to naturally be accurate when we're acquiring another language. But when we get older, we become teenagers and then adults, our brains change and we're not able to naturally and automatically organize our grammar, the rules that make the foundation of any language. That's why the study of grammar is so important, a focus on being correct and accurate. This will help us when we speak to be accurate in what we say, both in our grammar, our vocabulary, and our pronunciation. So you should find a balance between fluency and accuracy. Don't be afraid of making mistakes when you speak to develop your fluency, but focus and study grammar to develop your accuracy. Passive language is language that you understand when you hear it or read it, but you wouldn't be able to naturally use it when you're writing or speaking. How do you transform passive language into active language? Well, it's all about noticing words or phrases, chunks of language. When you notice, you'll then be more likely to use when you speak or when you write. Have you ever experienced this when learning English? You'll read a new word, you'll try to remember it, and then suddenly you'll hear it everywhere in conversation. This is called noticing. Actively noticing language when you listen and when you read will then help you to convert it from passive language into active language. So the conscious noticing of language is so important. AI apps and social media. Well, of course, I am a content creator on social media. Social media is fantastic to access free, motivating, interesting, and often funny short language videos. There are many amazing content creators in the world, incredible English teachers making incredible videos. So I highly recommend that you get on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and watch your favorite creators, including, of course, me, the Grammar Goat. There are also many AI apps available now that give you 24/7 access to an English teacher. Okay, a virtual AI English teacher, but someone who can give you valuable advice, valuable input about grammar and vocabulary. I think the combination of an AI learning app with watching social media videos, content creators, and English teachers on social media, as well as an English teacher for real-life lessons, or a conversational partner, a friend who you can speak English with, is the best approach to develop your English language speaking skills. But nevertheless, AI apps are a fantastic way to practice spoken English. They'll give you confidence if you're shy, because of course, speaking to an AI teacher is a lot easier often than speaking live with a real person. So they're a valuable part, I think, of developing your English, in particular your speaking skills. Asking questions is such an important way to develop your spoken English. Asking real questions with the person you're speaking with. Make a real effort the next time you're in a conversation in English to ask lots of questions. This will help to maintain your conversation, develop your conversation, and give you valuable speaking and listening practice. So many of my students don't ask enough questions. Ask lots of questions and then ask more questions. My final piece of advice is about pronunciation. Pronunciation is so important to make sure that the person you're speaking with understands you. It doesn't mean you have to buy a phonetics and phonology book or learn the phonetic script in English. What it does mean is you should think about your pronunciation. In particular, I think your intonation. Intonation is really important in English. Did you know English is the most intonated language in the world? And using natural intonation is so important to make you sound interested, interesting, and engaged in a conversation. So focus on your intonation. This could be through listening and repeating routines. Social media videos, which are short, sharp, and snappy, are excellent for listen and repeat routines. But the more you think about and are conscious of pronunciation, the more you'll develop and improve your own pronunciation. Okay, these are my top tips on how to improve your speaking skills, your spoken English. I hope you found them interesting and useful, and I hope you can implement and put into practice all of my advice. If you've learned something from my video, don't forget to like it and of course subscribe to my channel, The Grammar Goat English Academy. My next video will be all about listening. Learn to listen in English with practical advice and tips on how to develop and improve your listening skills. So, good luck with your speaking skills. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, and remember, practice makes perfect. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next English lesson.